On this super sunny day and warm day here in Wesel, Germany, we want to test out those two here, the Xiaomi 17 Ultra versus the Vivo X300 Ultra, and in specific we want to check out their video performance. And I think we start off with the front-facing cameras. Front-facing video on both here, 4K 30 frames per second, and we want to check out if the Xiaomi has better stabilization still than the Vivo. Vivo notoriously had bad stabilization in the past, X200 Ultra, even X300 Pro that optimized a little bit, but yeah, historically very bad stabilization on the front-facing camera. Both feature autofocus, so the Xiaomi has autofocus here and the Vivo also has autofocus. Which one is performing better here? Both don't have any options for zooming in and out, so no buttons or anything. It's just that you have a zoom in button before you start recording on the Vivo. That's the only thing that I noticed, and maybe pinch to zoom is working as well. What we can try and do, however, is check out HDR. Which one is working better with HDR? Famously, the Xiaomi should have the same front-facing camera sensor as the ultra-wide-angle sensor on the 17 Pro Max, which should give us a little bit of better quality here and better HDR even. But you be the judge which one is performing better in terms of front-facing video. This is 4K 30, both can also do 4K 60, but I'm working with the 4K 30 timeline, and most people are actually. This is why I'm testing out 4K 30 frames per second. During recording we can switch to the back-facing cameras. Both have a little bit of a delay when doing this. And I think this time around the Vivo was a bit faster in switching. This is the main camera sensor, of course, on the Xiaomi, and it's the ultra wide angle on the Vivo. And yeah, to have a similar field of view, let's go and switch to the ultra wide angle on the Xiaomi as well. The ultra wide angle on the Xiaomi is the weakest spot, where the Vivo has definitely a stronger one. But do you notice much of a difference between those two here with the ultra wide angle? At daylight with sun, probably not so much, but you be the judge which one is performing better. I have to walk a bit faster. Let's see how this is working and which one is performing a bit better. Cars passing by, bikes passing by. We can go to 35mm on the Vivo, and we can go 2x here on the Xiaomi. Which one is performing better here, also in terms of stabilization? I know it should be 1.5 times there. Now 35 versus 35. So slight crop on the Xiaomi, where it is the main camera sensor on the Vivo. Which one is performing better here? What do you think? So ultra wide angle now on both, and we want to do a little zoom test. You can see that the bridge there in the background is getting repaired, and it's almost done, I think. So let's zoom in 3.2x here and 85mm here. It should be a bit closer up on the Vivo than on the Xiaomi. We can go 4.3x here, and this is now a bit closer on the Xiaomi than on the Vivo. Vivo has 170mm. I think we can reach 170mm as well, which should be now roughly, I'm not completely mistaken. And then we can go 10x here and 10x there, or 230mm between those two. And the maximum here is 30x on the Xiaomi, and I think it is a little bit more zoomed in maybe on the Vivo. Which one is performing better? And let's go switch to the ultra wide angle again. So which one has better animations there also for switching between those two? What do you think? And I think I will do a separate zoom in test, because some people are saying, yeah, you're shaking too much when you're holding them with two hands. So let's try this as well. HDR looks a bit better on the Xiaomi actually than on the Vivo. But let's go into the shadows to see which one is working better here in a vlog style. So now I have them side by side in a vlogging style, a bit more cropped in because I'm using the 35mm sensor on the Vivo, but I went to the ultra wide stabilization. That means like less stabilized, but a little bit ultra wide angle view here. So to get roughly the same kind of view, I did go on Xiaomi and cropped in a little bit. So can this be used for vlogging? I think on the Vivo, if you turn off the better stabilization, it is borderline usable for vlogging. This is why I doing this test here with those here to see how good they are doing, and especially how good they are doing with the sun changing, the lights changing here, going into the dark underneath one tree. How good is it working here? And of course we can also switch to the ultra wide angles to see how they perform in this vlogging situation. I have to just move my hand a bit out of the way on both to not have my hand included in the shot. So what do you think about this one here right now? Which one is working better here? Also with the changing lights, which one has better HDR? Which one in general you would expect to work better here? And which one should work better? I think it's a Vivo that has the edge here with the larger sensor, but Xiaomi with its processing, even though the ultra wide angle is the weakest here, but with its daylight situation, I think maybe you don't notice much of a difference between those two. So which one would you prefer for taking for vlogging, for video in general? I think Vivo still maybe has an issue with the front facing video being too shaky, but you be the judge here. So we have the ultra wide angle here on the Vivo X300 Ultra, and we want to zoom in on the gate there. We go immediately to 10x and see how smooth this zooms in, even at 4K 30 frames per second. It's very nice. Stabilization should work also pretty nice, and then we can even zoom in further. This is now 460 times 40-60 millimeter, and this is 690 millimeter, the maximum zoom here. What do you think about the stabilization? What do you think about the quality here of the Vivo X300 Ultra? And going back to the ultra wide angle here. Same situation now on the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. We go immediately to 8.6 times. Also very smooth, I think, here at 4K 30 frames per second, and we can go up to 10x. Let's go to 15x, also pretty stable I would say, and then let's go all the way to 30x. On screen it looks a little bit more shaky there, but the detail levels are okay, but you be the judge which one is working better here. The Xiaomi has a bit of an advantage, I think, because the optical zoom goes a little bit further. So does it beat the Vivo in terms of zoom clarity here? Let's go back to ultra wide angle, also very, very smooth here on the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. So now vlogging style with both of them, but the Vivo now cropped into 23mm, where the Xiaomi is using the native 23mm 1-inch type sensor. Yeah, it should be an advantage for the Xiaomi for sure, and I think the 23mm, 24mm kind of focal length is ideal for vlogging, almost ideal for vlogging. I would have to like it to have a bit wider, like 20mm, which would be very, very cool to have, but nevertheless I think 23 is still, and 24 is still workable, doable. Which one is performing better here in this light situations for vlogging? I think it should be the Xiaomi. But yeah, we see how good the Vivo is doing with its new processing pipeline that we have. How good is HDR here? Yeah, it's 1-inch versus 101.28 inch size sensor. It's a bit unfair, I would say. But yeah, you be the judge. This is probably better for vlogging in general than trying to go with the 35mm one, because the 35 is just a bit too cropped in. But yeah, what do you think about those here in terms of this kind of vlogging? Here on the Vivo X300 Ultra is the filmic style, and I'm using this now with the wide kind of angle and the wider field of view here at yeah, what is it, 21:9 aspect ratio, almost like the cinematic kind of aspect ratio. It's recording automatically at 4K 24 frames per second. How good is this doing? Adding some effects like halation and other things that make it or give it a little bit of a more cinematic vibe. So what do you think about this one here? How good is this against the movie mode on Xiaomi? This is now the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. This one has a movie mode, also like this wide aspect ratio that you get for movies. I think it's 21:9 or something very similar here. It has a bit of a limitation because it's only 1080p and not 4K, which the Vivo can do. But what do you think about the quality here in general? We also have the ability to just record 16:9 and add some black borders, but this here is not this option. This is one with the full aspect ratio. I'm not even sure which camera sensor it's using, but I think it might be the main camera and not the ultra wide angle, which gives it maybe a little bit of a plus and bonus against the Vivo smaller sensor, especially in low light. But what do you think about the quality here and the cinematic kind of vibe. Do you get it here, or do we have to go with Vivo here? So one thing for sure, you saw already that the Vivo had a bit of struggle with the HDR, with the ultra wide angle here. I'm using the ultra wide angle on both here right now, just to confirm it. With HDR it gets like super wide. Of course the sun is in the background, that's an issue, but now with the sky blue and the sun facing me, it shouldn't be any issue anymore. Is that really the case, or was I just encountering a bug because I was using the filmic style before and then switched to the video mode again, and I think it didn't switch the style back to vivid. Now it is definitely at vivid because I double and triple checked it, and the Xiaomi is of course at the standard one profile that it has here as well. And yeah, what do you think about those here? And of course microphone troubles. You notice definitely that Vivo still has some trouble with Boya microphones. I don't know what it is. No other smartphone that I have had has this issue where it like delays the audio for some reason, and we have audio and video out of sync. So that's definitely an issue that I encountered with the Vivo X300 Ultra, and I don't have with the Xiaomi. And yeah, you saw it side by side. The Vivo had much better HDR than now in comparison to the previous test. So I really did an error there, or something was wrong. Maybe I hit a bug, because I had it already twice that it jumped and changed the color profile in video mode when I was jumping in filmic mode or out of filmic mode or into another profile. And I deliberately check a different color profile, but it changed. So maybe that was the reason. But if you have washed out colors, if you have HDR trouble, double check if your color profile is in vivid or if it's in refined, and maybe change it and go back to vivid again and try again to see if this is working, because this is probably what happened with my unit here. And you see that the ultra wide angle is working very nice here also now with HDR on the X300 Ultra, and hopefully the sound is also working nice. I'm using a different wireless mic, a newer CM31 now, to see if this one is not having the troubles as the Boya mic has. So it's still standing. Boya has some issues, or Vivo has some issues with Boya with their wireless microphone systems, and getting out of sync, or no audio at all, or sometimes delayed audio issues. Night video now on both here, side by side. Which one is working better here? Ooh, the light just turned out. Maybe it's broken. No, it turns on again. Going closer. Ooh, it turns out. So this is real night test now between those two here, internal mics. Xiaomi 1-inch type sensor, or the 101.28 inch size sensor, ultra wide angle on the Vivo X300 Ultra. Which one is winning against those here? Light turns on again. Let's walk there. Let's see how well they are doing here both. I think they should be a win for the 1-inch type sensor for this, of course. And the Xiaomi even has the video night mode 4K 24 frames per second instead of just 30 frames per second. So this is now me standing under light. What do you think? Which one has a better coating? I think it should be Vivo. If you're using the ultra wide angle, we can also try to switch to the main. So now we are using the main sensor here on the Vivo. I have to probably hold it a bit further away. The light goes off again. And yeah, which one is performing better here in your opinion? What do you think? I think it should be a clear win for Xiaomi. Xiaomi is not the best in terms of night video. Has some dancing lights sometimes, but yeah, which one is better at night? Doesn't really happen very often, but now it's happening here. I am correcting my score for the Vivo X300 Ultra's video performance. You saw it yourself, the selfie video performance was shakier than the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, a bit worse in HDR. Yes, the problems with HDR and color profile I was talking about earlier, together with the problems with the microphone, all lead me to believe, and also the zoom being a bit worse in video mode on the X300 Ultra than the 17 Ultra, lead me to get it lower points, being on par with the Xiaomi 17 Ultra in terms of the scoring system, so 9.5 and 9.5, but you can see that the index score here is 4.73 and here it's 4.75, so it is a slight win for the 17 Ultra, This is exactly what I saw here in my videos. My conclusion, it's a slight win for the Xiaomi 17 Ultra here, where the Vivo X300 Ultra struggles, but in total the Vivo X300 Ultra still scores a higher score here, and you will see that it is still ranked #1 on my ranking system, so nothing has changed here. It's just that the video performance here is now going down. I think 9.6 was before, or higher even. It's now going down to 9.5, so that it is on the same level as the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, but it is losing against the Find X9 Ultra. It's losing against the Pura 80 Ultra, and it's slightly better than what we had on the X200 Ultra, and I think most of the people can live with this ranking. You can write down in the comment section which one is your favorite of those two, and if you agree with me bringing the video ranking a little bit lower for the X300 Ultra. That's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye.